Good morning, traders. It is Friday. Happy Friday, the 14th of October, 2022. The current time is 8 a.m. Chicago. This is episode number 2336. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Just a preface here, I'm still not feeling well. Still have a headache and a little bit of a fever, but couldn't stay home. So here I am in the office, and they say when you take time off, go do what you like to do. And this is what I like to do. I like to trade. So I'm doing what I like to do. But I won't stick around today. I'll be here for the Trader Bite in about the first hour trading. And then I really need to go and see a doctor about this infection that I have, this sinus infection, it turns out. So that's the status of moi this morning. The status of le marché. The markets this morning is we had mild risk on until uh, President Putin came out and said that there are no plans to further mobilize in Russia. And the market just took a nice bid, shot up from about, I think the SOC for that was 36.91. Started shooting up from there and has pushed to 37.33. So we've gone approximately 35 points or so on the S&P. More than that, actually, 40 points. 40 points in the S&P on that news. This morning we got U.S. retail sales. That was the key number today. U.S. retail sales came in at 0% versus 0.2 expected. Import prices dropped 1.2%, expected a drop of 1.3%. Export prices dropped 0.8%, expected to increase 0.8%. The calendar shows that Prime Minister Liz Truss is supposed to talk at 8:30. The UK Chancellor Kwarteng was fired this morning, was terminated this morning, and a gentleman named Jeremy Hunt took his place and was confirmed as the new UK Chancellor. I think he's the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer or something like that. I don't know very much about European government or UK government positions, but I think this is like their Secretary of the Treasury. Let me know if anybody in here knows better. Let me know. But this is basically the Secretary of the Treasury, I believe, and that they're being fired for the for that plan that was released last month that was completely rejected by the market. This morning we had some major earnings releases. We had United Health came in at $5.79, beating $5.42. My insurance with them is going to go up another 20% next year. So, I'm happy that they're earning a lot. JP Morgan Chase came out, earned, they generated 33.491 billion in business, in revenue, and came in at $3.12 versus $2.88, beating by 8%. Wells Fargo really got kicked a little bit. Wells Fargo was expected to come out at $1.09 per share, came in at 85 cents, missed by 22%. Citigroup came in at $1.50 versus $1.42, beating by 5%. And Morgan Stanley came in at $1.53 versus $1.51, beating by 1.3%. So this morning, it's it kicks off the big players in the earnings. In the earnings reports, in the earnings season. Earnings are supposed to be quite weak, and they're expected to push the markets down. If you're into macro, where I listen to macro, sometimes a bit too much, but pay attention to price. Yesterday was a perfect example on how macro and and market reaction are two separate things. What the economy is doing versus what the market is doing are not correlated, are not exactly correlated. So we saw that yesterday. Looking at the S&P, the S&P has gone from a boxy balance to a multi-distribution. Multi-distribution. We've got 467,000 contracts traded, much higher than what is normal, which is 340,000, up to 340,000. The inventory is 43% long. The market's got 73.5 points in range, pretty good range. Expecting this Friday to be a pretty decent mover. Here's what the overall technical picture looks like. Overall, we have, we came down this, I go through this every morning. We came down on this impulsive move from the most recent swing high. We dropped pretty quickly. So August, September, and then October, we had a nice pop. We had a gap up. We consolidated for 3 days right here. And then we gapped down, and we've been trading this balance down here and fell through it yesterday with the CPI. CPI opening a gap down. And if you were here yesterday, you probably heard me talking about how it is really important, really important to watch for responsive buying that morning. So it's really important with a gap that big into new lows, new recent lows. It's really important to pay attention to see if there are buyers coming in, seeing this as a bargain. So the trade yesterday, I didn't watch. I went to sleep from about 10 to 3 my time, so I missed the whole thing. But overall, when I looked this morning at what the market had done, it reminds me of 2008. This looks an awful lot like, I would say, October of 2008, after the Lehman Brothers news came out, after the Bear Stearns news came out, where the market would fall on terrible news and then end up rallying 3% from the low in one session. It doesn't mean much, because look at where we are. So you can get all hyped up about yesterday and think that the bottom's in. I don't know that the bottom's in. I don't know that it's not. But what I do know is that we are back in balance. So let's do this. Since these are overlapping days, let's merge those days to see what really is happening in the bigger picture, bigger than our time frame, which is a daily time frame. And you can see that we are pretty much back in balance. Yesterday we got to the other side of the most recent balance, but we are right dead nuts in the middle of the big balance, from late September through early October. So to me, this is a market that saw an excess down below. Feeling a little bit nauseous. It saw an excess from down below and immediately corrected and came right back into balance. So what does that mean for today? For today, before the news hit, we did have a continuation play this morning. The market did finish in the upper quartile. The point of control was in the upper quartile of yesterday's range. The expectation based on how we closed yesterday is that we didn't find sellers. We didn't find meaningful sellers yet. So I expected it to push higher overnight, which it did. It went to 37.1550. And then currently it's popped higher. My expectation this morning is that we are probably going to be sitting here around the 3,700 level and trading quite a bit in this area. Remember, 36.96 was this balance from way back, and we are around. We've traded up to 37.33. We are at 37.22, but the chances are we are likely to come back into that 3,700 area from yesterday. We closed at 36.82. We settled around 36.8175. So that's where that stands. Looking at the volume profile, look at yesterday's volume. Huge buying down here. Just a buy wall right down here. Pretty weak bottom. And then a very steady, once the algos kicked in, very steady push. And then we finished at the top. And we finished with the point of control near top with a weak high. And here's that push this morning to 15. A nice deep pullback into the point of control. Look at the point of control overnight. The point of control overnight at 36.65 shows that there's a buy wall there as well. So there's some pretty deep buying, and we're in this key area currently. So we've pushed into this 37.30, and I'm expecting this thing to pull back a little bit. Remember, the push higher was an interruption of the auction from down here at 91 or so, and the push higher is on news. It's that news out of Russia. The U.S. retail number actually caused a bit of a sell-off this morning at 7:30 my time, 8:30 Eastern, and then it sat sideways, and then we had the Russian news, and now I'm expecting the SOC on that news. So I'm looking for 91 this morning. If we get to 91, then we have the settlement stat in play, and we have the prior point of control in place. So what does this look like for today? Just to cut it short, today, again, just as we learned and saw yesterday, follow price, don't follow my plan is just my plan. My plan is what I expect to happen and what I'll do when it happens. But at the end of the day, price and volume are what we trade, and overall, we have to follow what's there. I'm expecting an open auction out of range this morning. We are in the balance. Remember, we're in the big balance area back here. I'm expecting this to be responsive down to 91, bounce here, and then I'm looking for it to get back into the prior settle and the prior point of control right below, consolidate in here, and then hold steady. We'll get a higher high, higher low today, but I'm expecting this to be a resting day. When we have such a big day, we do flow wider. We do continue to swing wider. In other words, the rotations continue to be high, but in general, we get a resting day once that happens. Secondary, looking for an open auction that moves quickly down into that 91 bases. If we get an impulse on this like we did yesterday, see this impulse here? That impulse right there would have had me looking long, period. So if we're looking for a similar impulse, takes out the overnight high, consolidates for a while, and then starts to attack those naked points of control, 37.55 and so on, and starts moving through these levels. I'm not expecting this thing to run very far. The reason I expect it to push higher anyway, just like we do with the first scenario, and it did overnight, is because yesterday's auction was incomplete. Yesterday's auction shows that balance was not achieved, and as long as balance was not achieved, it is likely to move in that direction, in the direction of the trend, until it finds that balance. It's only when we find balance, or if an event kicks in, that we reverse. It's like Newton's laws of motion. There has to be something big enough to resist the current momentum to turn it around, and scenario 2 is looking to capitalize on that. In either case, I am expecting, because of the pop here on news, I'm expecting the market to respond to some extent. The question is, does it respond and push higher, or does it respond, consolidate, and move back into yesterday's upper distribution, upper balance, to hold steady into the weekend? It is Friday. So that's what I'm looking at for today. Good luck today, and I'll catch you on Monday morning. Hopefully, I won't have a spinning head as I'm talking. Good luck, and watch your risk today. Okay, take care.